Setting up the camera. This presentation will explain the basic settings that we use when taking images. Firstly, turn on the camera and press the menu button. The menu button is at the bottom right hand side underneath the four-way controller. The first thing you should do when you pick up a camera is format your memory card. This is different from erasing the images. Erasing images just writes over the top of previously saved images. Formatting removes all the files and sets up the memory card for use in the camera. It also clears the card of any issues it may have and improves the stability of your card. Set the file format to RAW. You will find this in camera menu number 1. Scroll down to File Format and select RAW. If you select RAW Plus, this will give you a RAW and a JPEG file. With this camera, you have the option of shooting two different types of RAW file format. You'll find these in the camera menu number 3, and if you scroll down to RAW file format, you'll see PEF and DNG. PEF is Pentax's version of a RAW file, and DNG is Adobe's version. Some photographers prefer to convert their RAW files into DMG format as they feel that the format has more longevity and there will still be software available to open them in the future. For the purpose of this practical and for this module, we will use PEF RAW format. Next, set the colour space. Colour space refers to the number of different colours a camera is able to record. This information is embedded into the image and controls how the image is viewed in subsequent software that might be used. The camera gives us two options. You'll find these in camera menu number 3. If you scroll down to colour space, you will see Adobe RGB and sRGB. We are going to use Adobe RGB as it is the biggest colour space and allows us to record the maximum amount of colours. If you now press the Info button and look at the panel on the back of the camera, you will see the ISO setting. It is displayed underneath the exposure settings on this back panel, and it's adjusted by holding down the ISO button, which is on the top of the camera just behind the shutter release, and turning the wheel on the back of the camera with your thumb. Set this ISO to 100. White balance will change depending on the type of lighting you have, as all light has its own colour temperature that will affect how our images look. Having said that, when we set up our cameras, we use the AWB settings, which is the auto white balance setting, as this handles the changes in light conditions very well. We do this by using the four-way controller on the back of the camera and pressing the button with WB on it, and then scrolling up to the top option, which is AWB. Another option that we set using the four-way controller is the drive mode. Now, for general purpose photography, we want to have the drive mode in single frame shooting. So if we press the timer button at the top of the four-way controller and make sure that the first option is selected, which is just a green rectangle. We may, for other types of photography, such as studio photography, need to use the 2-second timer, which is also set using this button. The next option set using the four-way controller is the colour button. So press the right hand button on the four-way controller, which has the symbol of a hexagon on top of a rectangle, and select natural. Finally, press the info button and look at the screen on the back of your camera. It should look like this. All your settings should now be correct for you to start photography.